Hey guys, what's up? I'm back, and we are at lucky episode number 13 of the Solo Soulscast. So I'm very happy you guys can join me today, as I am every week. I don't know how many of you join me. If the YouTube numbers are to be believed, which I don't know if they are, I think I had 15 views on episode 12, which was Dark Souls 3 First Impressions, and I'm pretty happy with that number. I don't know if that's 15 different people that sat and listened to all 40 odd minutes of it, or if that was 8 different people that clicked on it like once by accident, and then 3 or 4 other people that actually did listen to it, or one person that just clicked on it 15 times to make me feel better. But whatever the case, thank you very much. 15 is not very many, but you know what? It's better than I would have expected on any given day. Today we're trying something a little bit new. Well, not a little bit new. Well, let me retract that yet again. Today I'm doing something a little different. I am not going to edit this episode as I usually do. Usually I record my episode and then we'll listen back to the whole thing, however long it is, and I'll cut out. What I mostly look for is the long pauses, because there's a decent amount of times where I just stop and either have to get up and get something, I have to look something up, I just don't know what to say, so I stop. Those get edited out. I find myself saying quite a bit, which I know I lamented a few weeks back. I also find that I sniff a lot with my nose, like that. I do that a lot. That one was on purpose. I do that a lot. I don't know why, and it drives me crazy when I listen back to it. So I'm not listening back this week. I'm going to look at the sound waves that Audacity gives me when I record, and I'm going to find all the spots that are dead air, and I'm going to delete those, and then I'm just going to go with it. So right up front, please excuse the extra ums and sniffs that you're going to hear, because I wanted to release 2 episodes this week, and I don't think it's going to happen the way I wanted it to, but if you're listening to this, stay tuned, I guess, because there might be some other stuff. But what am I talking about? Today, we're still talking about Dark Souls 3. I'm not talking about my progression in Dark Souls 3. I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about the popularity of Dark Souls 3. Because I discovered a few very interesting things over the weekend. My work week, which is the weekend, and I'm going to get to in just a bit. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Shane. You guys know that. I'm on social media, as we all are, right? Because social media is just such a vital aspect of our lives. I like to... I just sniffed. I just did it. I'm trying so hard to either not sniff or maybe move the microphone away from my mouth or from my nose. Little known fact, I actually talk out of my nose, which is why I always have the microphone jammed right up into it. But, so, damn it, hopefully there won't be too many more of those. Yeah, I'm on social media. I kind of hate social media. I definitely hate Facebook. Facebook is just a horrible pile of unoriginal bullshit that all I see anyone post is just memes. They share memes and share photos, and that's what everyone does, at least on my feed. And I'm not getting into Facebook right now. All I'm saying is I'm on social media, and you can find me. I don't put my Facebook on here because I don't know. I don't use it that much. I don't take it nearly as seriously as the other social media platforms. I'm thinking of making a page either for the Soulscast or for my blog, which I still basically have not touched since I kind of resurrected it. But anyway, Twitter. You can find me on Twitter. I go by Calamete, K-A-1-A-M-E-E-T. The letter, not letter, the number 1 instead of an L. Instagram, I go by the same, but an L instead of a 1. That all came out kind of confusing and stupid sounding. So Instagram is K-A-L-A-M-E-E-T. And YouTube, obviously, is where you're listening to this, most likely. And I post lots of boss battles. And I also upload my podcasts here. My YouTube handle is VGBosses247. VG space... Sorry, damn it. I'm not going to edit this because I don't feel like listening back to it as I just explained. Because otherwise that would probably be something I would have edited out. But you know what, you guys are getting a little bit of a glimpse into the raw life, as I like to call it. And that was a great joke. Anyway, VG bosses 24/7. The letters VG and the word bosses all together, one word, space 24/7. Video game bosses 24/7. Okay, what have I been playing? Not much. Well, one game, a lot, and that's basically it. Obviously, I've been playing Dark Souls 3. I have about 13 hours into it right now, which, as I'm going to discuss, is not nearly as much as some people I know, but it's a pretty decent amount. And I have still been playing Binding of Isaac a little bit here and there. I actually did play it maybe yesterday for like 30 minutes, and I actually had a pretty good run on it, so I'm pretty happy about that. I even found a boss that I hadn't recorded yet, so just hurrahs all around. But I beat Illusion of Gaia, as I said, last weekend, so I'm not playing that anymore. And I'm not going to pick up and start any new games until I go through Dark Souls 3 a couple times. So, that's it. That's who I am. That's where you can find me. That's what I do on Instagram. That's what I play. Well, on Instagram, social media. Ooh, this is a train wreck. Maybe I will listen back to this one. Nope. This is for the greater good. Okay, I'm talking about Dark Souls 3 popularity today. I hate to sound like one of those people, but I've been with the series almost since the beginning. Not quite, because I didn't get Demon Souls when it came out. I got it about a year later, a year after it came out, in 2010, which I've probably mentioned on like 8 different episodes of this or the regular Soulscast. So I've felt pretty connected to the games, insofar as I know how special they are, and I know how even the series started, how special it is. And I don't look down my nose at people that have never played Demon Souls or have never played the original Dark Souls, like, oh, well, you weren't there at the beginning. Because I really wasn't there at the beginning either. And then those people, there's people that could look down their nose and say, well, you didn't play King's Field when it came out, and blah, 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 all that bullshit. But I'm happy to... I'm dying. I'm happy to have been there from basically the beginning. I like that I started with Demon Souls, and I just went in chronological order as the games were released. I was at work on Saturday, because I work on Saturdays, which is so awesome, at 5 in the morning. I was at work. It was probably 5:30 Saturday morning, just about to start getting ready for the day, because we go in, we punch in, we have a little meeting, we do stretches, and then we get ready for our day. And I hear a couple coworkers talking about, I'm not 100% sure, there's 2 coworkers next to me and they're talking. And I'm a few feet away, I'm setting up my computer and stuff. And then I thought I heard them talk about a specific video game, but I was like, no, they're probably not talking about that game. They're not talking about Dark Souls 3. Because it's Dark Souls. People, just in general, don't talk about Dark Souls. If they're talking about video games, they're talking about a Call of Duty, or they're talking about, I don't know, World of Warcraft, I guess, or, you know, they're talking about Skyrim, they're talking about Assassin's Creed, they're talking about Bioshock, or Borderlands, or that Quantum Break game, which I don't really know what it's all about, or the Doom beta, or Overwatch, whatever the hell that is, I'm not even sure either. That's the games people are talking about. They're not talking about Dark Souls 3. So I kind of hear, and then I keep listening, and then I soon realize, yes, they're absolutely talking about Dark Souls 3. I almost shit right in my pants, right there, right at work. Which I probably would have been able to go home at least, but it would not have been a good situation either way. So I kind of wormed my way into the conversation, which is something I don't do very often, because I'm not a very, I'm a very shy person, and it takes me a long time to really get to talk to people. But if Dark Souls is involved, then it's a different story. As evidenced by the fact that I started a podcast with essentially a total stranger, and I think it went very, very well for the 14 episodes we did. And we're coming up on 14 episodes here at the Solo Soulscast, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty good. Next week is going to be episode 14. So, I went over and I started talking to them, and they were talking about Dark Souls 3. There's 2 guys I work with, and I was just amazed and like very happy, because as it turns out, my new manager that I just got in my area maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago is a huge Dark Souls fan as well. And that was just more amazing news. So, that's what I want to talk about this week. Dark Souls 3 is a massively popular game. First of all, before I go into anything else, I actually have a decent amount of notes that I've just kind of compiled myself. I saw a link on IGN, which maybe I'll link to in the description here. It says Dark Souls 3 breaks Namco Bandai's record. It is the fastest selling Bandai Namco game ever, Dark Souls 3. And it beat out the previous holder of that record, which I believe was Dark Souls 2. And the article says it outsold Dark Souls 2 by 61%. That's a lot. And this was posted April 18th, so that was even just yesterday, a couple days ago. That was like 3 or 4 days ago. So the game has been out for a week, and it already is the fastest selling Bandai Namco game ever. So that's something right there. Dark Souls is very, very popular. I don't want to say it's getting into like the mainstream, because I still don't think it is. If you ask anyone on the street that isn't a gamer, I don't think they'll know what it is. There's some games you can just go up to anyone and say, oh, hey, have you ever heard of Mario or Zelda? And those are kind of silly examples, because those are two of the most famous video game franchises in history. But you can go up to someone who maybe doesn't play video games and say, oh, have you heard of Call of Duty? And they'll say yes. Or have you heard of Assassin's Creed or Destiny? They'll probably have seen commercials or something like that. You don't see Dark Souls commercials. So, right at that moment, after the conversation ended and I started working, I thought, this is going to be my Soulscast for this week. I'm talking about the popularity of Dark Souls 3. And then I spent the remainder of the weekend, when I had any free time, when I was at home, when I was on breaks at work, just compiling things I can think of how Dark Souls 3 is popular compared to the games that came before it. So I don't have a great structure here. I have a lot of notes, but they're not in my typical note format, so it might be all over the place. I'm going to try to focus it as much as possible. I'm going to try to have this episode be 30 to 40 minutes. I don't want it to be really long and meandering. Maybe I can even have this released Thursday night. I know that's a little bit crazy, because Soulscast is never released on Thursday, but we'll see. So, let's go back to 2009, shall we? Demon Souls. I first heard of it. It was a GameSpot article, the website GameSpot. They had an article. I clicked on it. I don't remember why I clicked on it. And I got interested in it because the article talked about the difficulty and how hard the game was going to be. And for whatever reason, this piqued my interest. I don't know why, because I'm not, as I've said many, many times, I'm not great at video games. I love them. I do like a challenge, but I'm not great at them. But for whatever reason, what I read in this article, and I wonder if I can find that first article. Probably not, because I don't remember anything about it. Maybe I'll do a little bit of searching. I just remember loving what I read. So that put the game on my radar, and that was sometime in 2009 probably, or late 2008 or something. So the game was on my radar. And I've also talked about this before. I wanted to buy it since it came out. I never had the money. I would always go to GameStop, and I would see it there, but I never bought it. I was like, ugh, I don't have the money. And then I finally did buy it. In 2010, as I mentioned, for the 900th time, I bought it. I don't think it got really any fanfare when it was released. You know, websites had reviews, like IGN, GameSpot, other websites had reviews. Kotaku probably had a review. But, you know, it was released, and then it just, you know, it was that. Maybe it showed up on, like lesser known video game lists of 2009 or whatever, but, you know. Because I was checking video game websites daily, at least IGN and GameSpot, maybe another one, and, you know, I didn't really see much. I saw the review when it came out, and that was basically it. But obviously it was popular enough to warrant a sequel. So it was like a cult hit, like an underground success kind of. So, you know, whatever, that happened. Dark Souls comes out a couple years later, and it definitely had more publicity than Demon Souls, but it still wasn't huge. It wasn't what Dark Souls 3 is, that's for damn sure. Now, Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls, OG Dark Souls, came out around the time that Skyrim came out. I want to say it came out either a month before or a month after Skyrim. I always get the dates mixed up. Dark Souls came out in like October of 2011, and Skyrim must have came out around then. November maybe, something. And just the fact that they're sort of similar games, and Skyrim was huge. It was from a huge company. It was already in an established line of games, because Oblivion was a huge game. A huge success and all that. So I wonder if everyone talking about Skyrim and just the fact that Dark Souls was coming out and it was also an RPG, even though the two games were very different, I wonder if that helped a little bit. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, I don't know. I tried to do a little bit of research and figure out how Dark Souls was announced, because Dark Souls 2 was announced at the Spike TV Video Game Awards. They have like a short trailer, which at the time people didn't know what it was. It was like this trailer. It was a really nice looking trailer. I think it had like these people in these white masks, and they were like fighting and getting killed. And then at the end, the screen shows Dark Souls 2. I don't know how Dark Souls was announced, if it had any kind of big announcement like that. I don't think it did. But I looked a little bit and I couldn't find anything. So if anyone knows, let me know, I guess. So Dark Souls 2, Spike TV Game Awards, Video Game Awards. That's had to be one of the first times a Souls game had that much coverage. It was at the awards. You know, I'm pretty sure I got a big... the crowd was really excited about it. I remember that. I remember one of my friends on Twitter added me when that trailer came out on the Video Game Awards. He added me on Twitter and said, like, oh, Dark Souls 2 is here. And he hates those games, but he still let me know. That's actually a bit of a funny story, I think. I was driving to work back whenever this happened. Was this that time? I don't know. I was driving to work, and it was a little bit snowy on the highway, but it wasn't that snowy. I wasn't paying full attention. I was paying attention to the road, but I wasn't paying attention to the highway exits, and I was about to drive past the exit I needed to get to work, so I cut my wheel a little too hard, and because it was a tiny bit slick out, I like slid and slammed into a snowbank that was like off the highway ramp. I didn't get hurt. My truck sustained a tiny like dent in the bumper, but I sat in that snowbank for like 2 hours until I think AAA finally came. But I want to say that was one of the first places that I read about Dark Souls 2, was just sitting in my car or sitting in my pickup truck waiting for AAA while I was stuck in a snowbank going to work during a blizzard. So Dark Souls 2 had the, you know, the Video Game Awards thing. And that was big too, because gamers of all ilk saw the trailer. So obviously the Souls fans loved it, and people that had never played the Souls games saw it and maybe they thought it was interesting. People that had never even heard of the Souls games saw this Dark Souls 2. So who knows how many new fans just that trailer, you know, got the series. Now, I didn't get to look up Bloodborne. I don't remember how Bloodborne was announced. I know it was a game going by the name Project Beast, and screenshots were leaked. Screenshots were leaked maybe like a year before the game came out. There was like just a few. One was like an archway that had like a fog door, so people were saying, oh, I remember people said, this is Demon Souls 2, which was a little exciting, but I didn't believe it. But I don't remember any like big kind of announcement, and I might be wrong. Now, we get to Dark Souls 3. I'm going to quickly go over every place that I've seen either ads for Dark Souls 3 or have seen things about Dark Souls 3 that I've never seen Dark Souls before. I'm going to start with GameStop. If you go into a typical GameStop, they have like TVs, and they always play like these like commercials and these like little like video game like talk show things, and they'll have people talking about, you know, upcoming games. And there was plenty of Dark Souls 3 GameStop ads on their GameStop TVs. They were not on, like, you know, not on broadcast regular TV, but just at GameStop. And I don't remember if I've ever seen that for the other games. Maybe for Bloodborne, actually. But I don't even know if it was there for Dark Souls 2. So that one's not great. But as we get farther down the list, there's some pretty good ones here. pop heads. You know, by the company Funko. They're the vinyl plastic toys that come in like the big white boxes, and they have like kind of big giant heads, but they're all cutesy looking. They're very, very fun to collect, and Funko makes a pop head for basically every pop culture thing that has ever existed. They now have a Dark Souls 3 one. It's of the Red Knight, who's the guy on the front of the game, the front cover, and he looks awesome. But it's a Dark Souls pop head, and maybe that doesn't mean much to you, but when I saw a friend, it was Adam Blue, as a matter of fact, who posted on his Instagram that he got the Dark Souls 3 pop head, and again, I almost shit myself when I saw it. For some reason, Dark Souls really just makes me need to shit if I see things that are even mildly surprising. I'm going to the doctors about it, so don't worry about that, guys. I always wear rubber pants just in case. Do rubber pants help with shitting? I know they help with like peeing the bed, which I actually also do. So I'm covered on all bases. Was that a joke? We'll never know. And now that my train of thought is totally derailed. Yeah, so they have pop heads. They make pop heads for everything. Doctor Who, most popular video games you can think of. Movies, TV shows, books. I have a few. I have a Cthulhu, the popular H.P. Lovecraft mind-destroying monster that for some reason seems to be pretty popular in pop culture nowadays. I have Bane and Batman from Dark Knight Rises. I have a Blue Zoidberg, Hot Topic exclusive, and the Robot Devil from Futurama. I'm very sorry about that. And finally, I have the Red Knight from Dark Souls 3. So that's a bit of a cross-section of what Funko makes. Now, my wife, who was a guest on this podcast a month and a half ago, she was saying that it's not that surprising that they have a pop head of it. And I said, I think it is. She thinks that pop heads have just gotten even more popular, so now they're doing everything. And I think pop heads have been popular for a long time. They've been popular at least since Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne came out. And they could have made a pop head for either one of those games, but they didn't. They made a pop head for Dark Souls 3 because Dark Souls 3 is that damn popular. They have pop heads for like Doom, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, BioShock. They have like the little sister and the big daddies and stuff. They have them for Skyrim. Games like that. Those are the games that get pop heads. Dark Souls 3 now has a pop head. So just let that sink in. I actually hope they make more of them because I would love to see like a... Is it too much to ask for like an Ornstein and Smell pop head? Or a Sif? Or... I haven't seen too many bosses from Dark Souls 3, so I can't really say that. Like, can I get a 4 Kings pop head? I'll buy 4 of them. That's no problem with me. So next. What else have I seen? Dark Souls 3. Slashy Souls. The maligned... ridiculous mobile game they released like a month before Dark Souls 3 came out, which I had a mini episode about, episode 5.5. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, go back and listen to it. But spoiler alert, it fucking sucks. And Dark Souls 3 also has, well, I think the Dark Souls series has a comic book, which I believe issue number 1 just came out yesterday. And I'm not the biggest fan of comic books. I like some of them. I prefer graphic novels because it combines all the storylines into one easy to read book. I don't care for comics that much anyway. I like me some Batmans. I actually just bought my first Superman graphic novel a couple weeks ago, Red Sun, which I'm pretty excited to read. I bought my first Green Arrow comic as well. Well, not comic, graphic novel. Longbow Hunters, I believe it's called. So I'm pretty excited to read that as well. But, I've read most of the Batman heavy hitters, Long Halloween, Year One. Dark Knight Returns, like the really, really big ones that everyone knows. I just bought The Killing Joke. I haven't read it yet because I'm a lazy sack of garbage that I just play video games all the time. I'm really acting silly on this episode. I apologize. I have not had any alcohol. I had a Starbucks iced coffee thing that come in the glass jars. I've had one of those, and that's it. But, yeah, so they have a comic book out. They had it's like VHS April Fool's kind of thing they did on April 1st. I don't really even know what it was. I barely paid any attention to it. But it's just another weird thing that I don't think they would have done with Dark Souls or Dark Souls 2 even, because the games just weren't that popular. And in Walmart, popular gigantic chain store place, in the video game section, they have like end caps, and they have these big like banners over the end caps of certain games. And in my Walmart, they have a banner for Dark Souls 3. And I don't remember if they've had them for other games. Maybe for Dark Souls 2, but I'm not sure. I don't think they would have had it for Bloodborne, because Bloodborne was a Sony exclusive. But I don't know if they had it for other ones. And again, my wife challenged me on this. She thinks they did have it for Dark Souls 2. I don't know. Maybe she's right. She's usually right about a lot of things. But the final thing I want to mention, which she brought up to me just a few days ago, which I was delighted that she did. She watches a lot of YouTube videos or YouTube people that do makeup. And they do like specific makeup. They like transform themselves into different characters. It's not like going out for a night in the town makeup. It's like scary, ghoulish, gory makeup. And the people are usually really good. There's a girl named Cat Sketch, and I'll leave a link to her below because God knows she needs more followers. Cat Sketch. She does these makeup tutorials. She has 673,000 followers. She just did, a couple days ago, a tutorial on how to look like crossbreed Priscilla from Dark Souls 1. I haven't watched the video yet. I meant to. I wanted to watch it with my wife. We just haven't got around to it because we've been kind of busy. I think we've been busy. I don't know. But I was shocked at this. This girl, she does things that are popular. She does a lot of Disney princess stuff, like gory Disney princess stuff. She does shit, I'm trying to think. A lot of stuff like that. Minions, like stuff that's in popular culture now, in the zeitgeist they call it. And she did Crossbreed Priscilla, which I know technically isn't a Dark Souls 3 character. Unless it is, I have not seen. Who knows? I'm assuming she's doing the optional boss of the optional area of Dark Souls, the Painted World of Ariamis. But she could have done this when Dark Souls 1 came out, but she didn't. It's because Dark Souls 3 is so popular. I think that's why she's done it. Now, apparently her boyfriend is a very big fan of the series. I have no idea if she plays them. Again, I haven't watched the video. I would like to. I will leave a link to it. But it's very interesting. The timing, maybe it's total coincidence, but the timing is very interesting. So all that stuff added together. The GameStop ads, the pop ads, the Slashy Souls, comic books. Fairly popular YouTube people that have never done Dark Souls stuff doing Dark Souls stuff. Dark Souls is very, very popular. It's more popular now, and Dark Souls 3 specifically is more popular now than it's ever been. Now, before I get into the last thing I want to talk about the people at work that I know play Dark Souls. Counting myself, from what a coworker told me, I believe there's 7 people that play Dark Souls 3 at my place of employ. I don't know if I should use names. I mean, there's nothing bad in here. I'm not going to use names. I'll say my coworkers. But I know for a fact my manager and one of my other friends that I talk to, they started with Dark Souls 2. One of them started playing it on Xbox, probably Xbox One, probably the Scholar of the First Sin Edition. And I believe the other one started playing it on PC, because his friend got him into it or something. So, they both started with Dark Souls 2. I also know that neither one of them have played Demon Souls, and then neither one of them have played much of the original Dark Souls. I think they've played a tiny bit of it. And they've both not played Bloodborne because they don't have PlayStation 4s. They play it on PC and Xbox One. Dark Souls 3, that is. So, I think it's pretty interesting that they started relatively late in the series with Dark Souls 2. And now they're playing Dark Souls 3, and they both love the game and love the series. And I think that's awesome. Because again, any excuse to talk Souls with anybody that I know is just great. Because I work a little bit of a, maybe not story, but a little bit of life here. Because this is my podcast, and if I'm going to talk about life if I want to talk about life, I'm going to talk about it, and you guys are going to listen. It's not going to be long, but I worked for 9.5 years at a small company. It was an office place. I worked mostly in the warehouse, but I did some office computer stuff, order entry, and other return kind of things. And I had friends there. I had a good friend that I'm still friends with that played a lot of video games. That he knew of the Souls games, but he never ever played them. I actually let him borrow Demon's Souls years back, and he barely played it, unfortunately. But I never got to talk about Souls with anyone that I knew personally. A couple people on Facebook and Instagram are the only people I've ever talked Souls about, except for a friend that I have that was my wife's friend that played Demon's Souls with me that I talked about probably in my Demon's Souls episode that I did at episode 2, or episode 3. He was the only person I ever talked with Souls about, like in person, face to face, or like through text message or whatever. And now I work at a place that's very, very, very large, probably 100 times bigger than the company I used to work at. And there's hundreds of employees that work at the same time. My old company had like 30 or 40 employees, and maybe it's just because the company is bigger. It's just a bigger percentage of people might play the game, but there's 7 people in my area and the other area next to me that play the game, which is amazing. If I still worked on my old job, I don't think there'd be 7 people that played it. I don't even know if there'd be 1. Maybe there would be 1. But the point is it's very surprising, and it's very. I just find it fascinating that it's gotten so big now, and finally the people that I work with that play it, that started with Dark Souls 2, they're not gonna fully understand the references to places and enemies and characters from the original Dark Souls, because as I'm going to talk about, not in this episode but very, very, very soon, there's a lot of direct references to Dark Souls in Dark Souls 3. So all this equals this very. I keep using the word interesting, and that's not working. I'm happy. I'm shocked. I know I've said that, and I'm still in a bit of a state of disbelief, because I've always thought of the Souls series as like my, not secret, because I know a lot of people play it, but like my thing, like, oh, the Souls games. People don't understand the Souls games. People don't know the Souls games. I'm like, oh man, I get my little secret and nobody understands. And all of a sudden, people I know are playing Souls, and they're playing Dark Souls 3, and they're ahead of me, and they've already beaten it, which is another crazy thing. Actually, I'll go into that real quick. One of my coworkers, one of my friends there, he has already beaten Dark Souls 3. When I first started, he trained me, and this was about 8 months ago, maybe a tiny bit more than 8 months ago. He trained me, and I remember he asked me on my very first day what I like to do. I said, play video games, and he was a gamer too, so he asked me what kind of games I like to play. I said, oh, I like this series called the Souls series, like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, all that. He seemed aware of the series. He kind of knew what it was, but he didn't have any kinds of opinions here or there. I remember him just being sort of non-committal about it. And now it's funny that he's like hugely into them. I think that's just how it goes. Once you get into Souls and you fully understand it, it hooks you in, and you're not getting out. Which is also what happened to Adam, which is why he wanted to start the Soulscast in the first place, because he played Bloodborne and it turned into his favorite game ever, and he got hooked. They call it hooked for a reason, kids. Now, the final thing I want to talk about. Is this new popularity and exposure a good thing? I think that is something that could be talked about quite a bit. I think it could go both ways. Let's go good. More people playing the games means that more people are buying the games, and that means more money for FromSoft. And, of course, they could put that money back into this series to continue creating these great games, or they can maybe put them into new series. And that's a good thing. Money to them, in theory, means better games. And I think it will, because I don't think FromSoft is a company where it's going to just spit out a Souls game every year. Like your Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty and Battlefield, which I've mentioned so many times already. And I do have an episode about Souls Fatigue. I think it was episode 6. Check that one out if you'd like. So, money back to them, I think, is a good thing. I think it's also as good for video games in general to have games like Souls. To have them, and to have them be actually popular. I think it opens the door for more games that are like Souls games. Like Salt and Sanctuary, which I really want to play, which looks awesome. And there's like Lords of the Fallen, which was a good game, even though I haven't played it in a very, very, very long time. And I know there's other Souls-like games coming out. ITER is one of them, I think. EITR. I saw a little preview, and it looked really, really, really cool. And I know there's going to be more. So, games like that, I think it's a good thing to have them. It's almost like its own genre at this point, like the Souls genre. But those games being popular, other studios, maybe smaller studios, could see that and take a bigger risk. Like, oh, well, there's a lot of companies that are scared to take risk, and they'll just release the same basic game year in and year out because they know it's going to make a lot of money. And maybe companies will start seeing, oh, well, Souls, they're wildly different than the contemporary popular games, and now they're popular. Maybe we can do something like that. And I don't know if that makes any kind of sense. Maybe it does. But it could maybe even lead to things like Demon Souls being ported to the PS4. Please, please, please. That would be cool. Thank you. Because, if enough people want it, they could do it. The whole reason the series is on PC in the first place was from fan petitions. The fans wanted it, and FromSoft saw how much they wanted the games on PC. And now, they went from the series not being on PC to a fairly crappy port of the original Dark Souls, which was eventually made better by like fan mods. And now we got Dark Souls 3, which is launching, which a PC version, a legitimate PC version, is launching right with the console versions. And that's all because of the fans. And that was for Dark Souls, which wasn't nearly as popular or financially successful as Dark Souls 3. So it could open doors like that too. I think those are all really positive things. What could maybe be a negative with the Souls series getting so popular is kind of the opposite of what I just said a few minutes ago. Maybe all the money and all the success will make them lazy and complacent, and they will start just pumping out games one year after another with not the eye for making sure they're great games. I don't think Miyazaki and FromSoft and his team are going to do that. I think they're very, very devoted to the series. They know the fans are very, very devoted, and they're hardcore. They're some of the most hardcore fans of any video game series in terms of just how much we all love it. I don't know how many Call of Duty podcasts there are. I'm sure there are some podcasts, but I know there's at least several Dark Souls podcasts. But listen to this one because it's the best one out of all of them. But, if they get complacent, they start releasing the same game over and over again. And I know some people think the Souls games are kind of the same games over and over again, but I'm not even getting into that right now. They're not. Basically. But that I think is my biggest concern for them getting too popular. They won't care as much because they're just raking in the money. They're just gonna be, oh, it's November, it's time for the next Call of Duty. Oh, it's April, time for the next, time for Dark Souls 4, time for Bloodborne 3. So I think that's one of the biggest negatives I can think of. Otherwise, it would just be things that aren't as important, like ridiculous mobile games like Slashy Souls, or like people like going over the top for Souls games, like people seeing people walking down the street with Dark Souls shirts like all over the place, which I don't think would happen, because even Call of Duty, I don't see many people wearing Call of Duty shirts. So I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think the positives outweigh the negatives, but the negatives could be detrimental to the series. But I think overall, it's a good thing that Souls is this popular, and there's nowhere to go. Well, I was going to say there's nowhere to go but up, but that's very false. They could definitely go down, but they're not going to. that is it. That's what I wanted to talk about. We're looking pretty good. 41, almost 41 and a half minutes here. I know I have some long pauses to edit out, but this whole editing process should take me 10 minutes or less. Otherwise, it would take me a bare minimum of 42 minutes plus. This does take me a good close to an hour to edit probably. So I'm gonna just run through and quick edit it here, and maybe I can have it released on this Thursday night. If not, it'll be very early Friday. Friday the what the hell is today? Friday the 22nd. I don't know how many times I've said probably a lot. I've really been trying not to sniff like I usually do. I think I've done an okay job with that, and if I haven't, I sincerely apologize. But that's it for episode 13 of the Solo Soulscast. I'm glad you guys maybe stuck around and listened to it. Stay tuned for something a little extra this week, and I will bid you all adieu.